Hey up everyone, in today's video we're going to be talking about UFC 306, which is meant to be a massive card. This card started off all because it's going to celebrate Mexican Independence Day, and that is the whole theme of this card. The other big thing about it is that it's taking place at the Las Vegas Sphere, and it's meant to be the only UFC card to ever, take place at that venue. And Dana's done a great job of getting us excited, doing his job where he's promoting the card, saying that they've splashed out 16 million on this pay-per-view alone, and that it's going to be something that we've never seen before. And not only that, but we have even more reason to be excited for this card, because the Riyadh season are also being the main sponsor of this card, and they probably have a lot to do with investing a lot of money into this pay-per-view. However, Dana White has revealed that this UFC pay-per-view is only going to have 10 fights. We usually get to see between 12 and 14, and considering this is meant to be one gigantic pay-per-view, what they've invested a lot of money into, I don't really understand why they've decided to go with just 10 fights. And then you go on to see that they've already confirmed 6 fights for this card. A few okay fights, a few I'm not really that fussed about, me personally. Michel Pereira versus Anthony Hernandez, I think is quite a deserving fight of being on this card, and it's quite interesting and fun. You've also got Manuel Torres on this card, who's a up and coming prospect, 29 years old, has a lot. He's only been to decision once out of 15 victories. There's a few fights that are quite exciting, but for 6 fights that are confirmed, more than half of the fights confirmed already, not the greatest. And then you have the co-main and main also speculated to be Merab Dvalishvili taking on Sean O'Malley for the bantamweight title, and apparently Alexa Grasso is meant to be the co-main, defending her title as well. So you have 6 confirmed fights, 2 speculated fights, which will more than likely be the case, as it is Ariel Helwani who has reported on this. So we only have 2 fights left to go on UFC 306. So that led me to start thinking, who should be on this card? Who are the next 2 fights that should be on UFC 306? Now, this first fight is an absolute lock. And this is Diego Lopes taking on Yair Rodriguez. And if it's not Diego Lopes versus Yair Rodriguez, then Diego Lopes versus Brian Ortega, like we should have got. But I don't know how it's going, because I know Brian Ortega was meant to be bulking up to the lightweight division. So I said Yair Rodriguez. He is a Mexican. Makes a lot of sense. This would be a very, very, very fun fight. And I don't think anyone would turn down the opportunity to actually watch this fight. How could you turn down the opportunity? It makes a lot of sense. Yair Rodriguez coming off a loss to Brian Ortega. Diego Lopes coming off a victory against Dan Ige, which a lot of people are quite critical of. So I think this fight makes a lot of sense. I believe that Diego Lopes wants to fight at this Sphere as well. And I also believe that Dana White said he would allow Diego Lopes to fight at the Sphere. I think he also said that about Dan Ige as well. But I am sorry, Dan Ige. Well, that's just more of a boring option. But it would be pretty cool if there was more than 10 fights and you were able to get them to the card. And then I have came up with 4 fights that I'd like to see at UFC 306. Maybe the fight on the main card just before Alexa Grasso's fight, just before the co-main. To start off this, I've gone with Sean Strickland taking on Robert Whittaker. I know Strickland's being a bit of a, he does, I'm going to sit out and wait. Well, no, let's get you straight back in the octagon. Let's see who deserves to fight for the title next between you and Whittaker. I think this makes a lot of sense. Strickland didn't really take any damage against Costa. Whittaker didn't take any damage against Aliskerov. So it makes a lot of sense, in my opinion. Two of the people at the top end of the middleweight division who, I think if you get the clear number 1 contender, whoever wins this fight could be a decent fight as well. I'll be very interested. Again, I know they both didn't fight too long ago, but again, none of them really took any damage, and they've got plenty of time for a camp. After this, I've gone with Henry Cejudo versus Jose Aldo. The last time we saw Henry Cejudo, he lost to Merab earlier on in the year. We then have Jose Aldo, who made a comeback out of retirement against Jonathan Martinez, where he looked very impressive. And I wouldn't mind this fight. This fight was scheduled, I believe, in 2020. I think Aldo pulled out, to which Dominic Cruz took his place, and Cejudo beat Dominic Cruz. I wouldn't mind seeing this fight. I just think that's quite a decent fight to have on this card. You need a fight what can stand out a bit, and I feel like the 2 I've mentioned so far would stand out on this card when it comes to name value. However, where the name value drops right now is when I bring up the other one, and I know a lot of people won't be fond of this one. Me personally, I want to see it. But I've gone with Aljamain Sterling versus Movsar. The last time we saw Movsar was against Arnold Allen, and the last time we saw Aljo was at UFC 300, where he absolutely dominated Calvin Kattar and didn't take any damage whatsoever, and looked very impressive for his 145 debut. And I wouldn't mind seeing this fight. Yes, it could definitely be boring, but I just like the clash of styles because they're both grapplers. Aljo, an experienced one, an experienced former champion, should I say, and Movsar, an up-and-comer. I think he's only lost once. A lot of people aren't fans of either one of these two. That's what I'm saying, it's not very great for name value, and it could be a very stinky fight. However, for me, I just think stylistically it's quite cool, and I think whoever wins this could be the number one contender for the title shot next at the 145 division. And then finally, I've gone with Jack Della Maddalena taking on Shavkat Rakhmonov. A clear number one contender again, I suppose. All four of these fights are, besides Cejudo and Aldo. I feel like whoever won that one wouldn't get a title shot. But I feel like the other three, with Aljo, Movsar, Strickland, Whittaker, and obviously Maddalena and Shavkat, the winner of those fights could go on to fight for the title next. Obviously, nothing's guaranteed, but you know what I mean. And I think JDM versus Shavkat would be just fucking brutal. Be a very entertaining fight, very fun, decent name value as well. And I think would shine out quite well if this card ended up stinking out the place. You have a fight that's pretty much guaranteed not to be a stinky fight. So I think that fight makes a lot of sense. But what do you guys think about UFC 306? Do you think it will deliver, or do you think it won't deliver at all? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Go away.